Hello, Kibi here. So I've got a lot of questions on the Valkyrie spending event in 4.6. Basically asking what you should get. So I thought I'd just sit down and talk about it for a while. So this is a recurring type event. Basically spend crystals in the gacha, get tokens, spend those tokens on S rank frags. So every time this event comes in, there's usually like maybe one more Valkyrie they put in or two. So this time it's Vermillion Knight. So let's talk about Vermillion Knight. This one, Vermillion Knight, they made it a little bit stranger because she's an Awakening type Valk. They don't usually put Awakening type Valks in this type of event. You can actually get her entire card for about 28,000 crystals spent in the gacha. You can get her fragments as well, but they're a little bit more, they're less value. And so the reason for that is she's an Awakening type Valk. So she'll need 250 fragments compared to everyone else who only needs 100. So overall, you're spending a lot more star tokens to rank her up. Generally speaking, I don't recommend taking Vermillion Knight fragments, and the reason for that is even at double S rank, she's not going to be any more useful for you than she is at S rank. Now, as for the card, the question is, should you get Vermillion Knight? So Vermillion Knight has a few uses. Let's talk about her most obvious use, which is as a DPS. So as a DPS, she has basically one boss in Abyss, which is Argent Knight. Now Argent Knight is the Ignite weather, and this weather has not shown up very often. It's only shown up one time so far within the past 2 patches. She is also not the best option. She loses to Dea and Korra, but I do think that she'll be able to promote in Red Lotus. Aside from that, you really won't be using Vermillion Knight as a DPS in Abyss. In Memorial Arena, she's used for 2 bosses currently. You can maybe make a case for her on a few other bosses, but generally speaking, she's only really getting high scores on 2 bosses, which are Argent Knight and Herrscher of the Void. Now, she's not really the top score on either one of these bosses, but she is a very affordable one. She's very cheap to get high scores with, and she's also very easy to get these scores with. So really, if you're getting Vermillion Knight as a DPS, she's just making your life a bit easier on these 2 bosses. Now, do keep in mind, she does need the weapon Might of Anatu to even be considered for any of this. If you don't have that weapon, she won't be used as a DPS at all. Now, outside her role as a DPS, she also finds use as the best Blood Dance holder. Now, the reason why she is the best Blood Dance holder is because she does not have a switch skill. The twins also don't have switch skills, but they throw out Blood Dance a little bit slower than Himiko does. For most players, this doesn't really make much of a difference, so you don't have to think about it, but just keep it in mind if you do get Vermillion Knight. Now finally, the last option if you're not taking the Vermillion Knight fragments or the card is the S rank fragment choice. Now this choice is between 10 different Valkyries. Let's go ahead and talk about all 10 in the order of the picture I'm showing right here. First off is Rosalia, or Molotov Cherry / Fervent Tempo Delta. Delta is one of the strongest physical DPS in the entire game. And even within the next update, that's not going to change, and I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. Now, even if that is the case, I still don't recommend taking her fragments from the spending event. And the reason why that is because you can get her fragments for free through the Ancient Willpower shop. So really, if you're taking her fragments, it's to accelerate your farming. And Delta, unlike a lot of Valkyries, is not really very rank dependent. Even at S rank, she is very strong and effective. So every rank that you get up is just going to make your life a little bit better, but it's not going to make a drastic change. Next we have Shadow Knight. Shadow Knight is a non-farmable Valk, so you cannot get her from Ancient Willpowers. And as far as she's used, she's only really used in Memorial Arena, not really used in Abyss at all. In Memorial Arena, she's essentially only used on one boss, which is Argent Knight. You can also use her on Dark Juanyan, but most people don't use her there. For the bosses that she does, she is one of the top scorers. Getting her to double S rank only really makes your life a lot easier because she is capable at getting top scores at S rank, it's just a lot harder. Her leader skill is similar to Lightning Empresses and has been used again recently, so if you do decide to rank her up, it's not a bad decision long term. The new Valkyrie, Herrscher of Sentience, is the Awakening of Shadow Knight, but I already double checked, there are no shared skills other than the leader skill that you have to worry about. So for every rank that you get on Shadow Knight, you get 3% crit rate and 2% crit damage on the Herrscher of Sentience leader skill. Do keep in mind this leader skill will only really be used in Abyss, but I do think it will be used frequently. It's not really a huge upgrade, so it's really up to you if you think it's worth it. Next we have Blood Rose. Blood Rose has one Abyss boss, which is Heimdall. Heimdall has not shown up in over 2 months, and Blood Rose not only needs double S rank, but she also needs her weapon. Heimdall also has alternatives to use, so I really don't recommend Blood Rose at all at the moment. Next is Knight Moonbeam. Moonbeam is one of the most useful Memorial Arena Valkyries, however she is not used in Abyss at all. So if the focus is Abyss, you can ignore her. However, for Memorial Arena, she really does want her triple S rank, which gives her a second evasion skill plus a little bit of cooldown reduction on it. This skill is really important for Memorial Arena because of how important Time Fracture is there, and farming her fragments is actually a little bit of a pain because it's a little bit more expensive if you buy all 6 of her fragments. If you're serious about Memorial Arena, I do recommend getting her fragments so you can accelerate towards the triple S rank. Next is Dimension Breaker. It's really likely that she's going to get an augment eventually, but for the current moment I do not recommend getting her fragments at all. Next is Phoenix. Phoenix is a really good early game option. Like I've said in a lot of videos, she applies debuffs very quickly for elemental teams. Even for players who have Azure Imperia, Phoenix is still useful in Memorial Arena. And most players already have her at double S rank. She does not need any more than double S rank. If you don't have her at double S rank already, you can accelerate your farming, but I don't really recommend it because her fragments are really easy to come by, and I think I would rather get one of the other Valkyries that are listed here. Next up we have Celestial Hymn. So Celestial Hymn, her usage is going to be dropping a lot with the next Herrscher release. Now keep in mind, even if you do have the Herrscher of Sentience, if you use the Herrscher of Sentience as a DPS, you still use Celestial Hymn as her support. That, and in Memorial Arena, I think that Celestial Hymn is a little bit more flexible and going to be used a lot there, especially since you still need 3 teams in Memorial Arena. As far as getting Celestial Hymn to double S rank, she only gets more shield break on her QTE. For the average player, you really don't feel this difference. However, it is relevant in the very top strats. So in short, it's really just used for molding strats. And if you're not interested in molding, I don't recommend getting her to double S rank. Another thing that you should note is that she will be farmable next update, so that reduces the value from the spending event even more. Next we have Argent Knight. Argent Knight is the next non-farmable option. I know a lot of people like Rita for reasons. However, her place in the meta is only on Benares in Abyss. So for Benares, in order to beat the Herrscher of Reason, you will need double S rank. And the reason for this is because double S rank gives a really massive increase in damage. The passive that she gets is a very unique multiplier. It's just really not comparable to S rank. So if you want to use her in Abyss, you do want her at double S. As far as if it's worth it, I don't think it's worth it for at least the Western servers. I can only really speak for a global server, but our Nirvana for Benares is not that competitive. So much so to the fact that S Herrscher of Reason can even retain Nirvana. So if you're a Red Lotus player, I really wouldn't even think about this upgrade. Next we have Valid Executor or Twilight Paladin. I think the future for this Valkyrie is pretty bright because she still doesn't have her pre-arm, and I think it's very likely that she will get one very soon. However, at the current moment, she's only really used in Memorial Arena. She doesn't have any Abyss presence. She can get pretty good scores on Jizo, Dark Jianyan, and Huodo. As far as the spending event goes, I don't really recommend getting her fragments right now because she is farmable and there are better options. Lastly, we have Lightning Empress. Lightning Empress is really only used in Memorial Arena, not in the Abyss, so if the focus is Abyss, you can ignore her. Mainly she's used for her leader skill. This leader skill is very powerful because it gives you starting SP. For the purposes of most strategies, you only really need her at double S rank. Triple S rank is quite helpful, but it's not the end of the world if you only have double S. Single S is where things are a little bit more troublesome in my opinion, so I would recommend at least getting double S rank. She's also very obtainable through Ancient Willpowers, so it's really up to you if you want to use the spending event to accelerate your farming. Alright, and one last thing I do want to talk about is the free S rank egg that we also get next update. So everything that I've already said about the Valkyries already applies to this egg. This egg also has a few awakened Valks we haven't discussed, so let's go ahead and talk about those. First off is Six Serenade. I don't recommend Six Serenade at the moment. She is not used in any content, so really she's just there for the Dorm Ice bonus, so I don't recommend getting her. Next is the Herrscher of the Void. Now Herrscher of the Void is non-farmable, unlike all the other options here. So I do consider her one of the best options because all the other options you can farm up. I personally would recommend getting her just for that reason alone. In terms of her actual usage, it's only really as a support in Memorial Arena for her leader skill and her ability to wield pistols. She also has one of the better Dorm upgrades. Now the last Valkyrie I haven't talked about is Memento. Ever since the Herrscher of Reason got her pre-arm, Memento has fallen to a rather lackluster option, to be honest. She do be waifu though. She can get some pretty alright scores, but generally speaking I don't recommend her for very competitive players. Alright, and that's all the Valkyries. I will have the summary of what I've said all here, so thank you for watching.